We have two speakers with us today from GM Financial, so allow me to give you a quick introduction. Michelle Croad is a university talent advisor at GM Financial. She has about 5 years of experience in human resources with a strong expertise in campus recruiting and internship programs. At her current position, she helps students transition from college to their careers in corporate and IT roles. Before GM Financial, Michelle was previously employed by Korn Ferry, the leader in executive search. She graduated from Grand Valley State University with a Bachelor's of Business Administration. Michelle is also very active in the UNT community. She currently sits on the UNT Career Center Advisory Board and is a mentor within PLP and SHRM. Today we also have Marian Hicks with us. She is an Assistant Vice President at Internal Training at GM Financial. She has spent more than 25 years of automotive experience with General Motors and GM Financial. She has spent the majority of her career working directly with dealers to increase vehicle and accessory sales, improve market penetration, and train sales staffs. She is also an experienced speaker and trainer. In her current role, she leads a team that trains credit and sales personnel across the states and consults with business units in various capacities. She also is a GM Financial brand ambassador and a certified trainer for the GM Financial Keys Initiative. Please give a PLP welcome to GM Financial.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Croad. I'm very excited to be here today. Some of you guys may recognize me. I've been to several of your PLP events earlier this year, the Business After Hours events, and I'm also a mentor within the program. So very involved with PLP. I've been involved for the last year. So GM Financial has agreed to sponsor your program. So we are very much hoping that some of you guys want to come work for us. So as Jay mentioned, I work on the, sorry guys, So I work on the university relations team at GM Financial. So essentially what that means, let me just try it out. Yeah, sorry.
Excuse me, it's that middle spot right there. It's a lot of feedback right there, so just move a little bit.
Okay. Here, no, I think I'll be okay with that. No, you're good. Okay. Okay, all right, sounds good. Just move. All right, sounds good. All right, much better, I think. All right, so I work on the university relations team, and what that means is I help to plan our internship program. I hire about 50% of our interns every year, as well as plan long-term strategies for entry-level talent and build partnerships with different universities, such as UNT. UNT is one of our partner universities, so you may have seen me or my team here earlier this year. We're consistently on campus trying to engage you guys and get you excited about our opportunities at GM Financial. So I'm going to give you all a brief overview of GM Financial, and then I'm going to hand it off to Marian Hicks, who is going to be giving you a presentation on financial literacy and highlighting the car buying process as well. Right, so GM Financial was acquired by GM in 2010, and we have grown from 2,000 employees to 10,000 employees in the past 10 years. We are the captive auto finance company for GM, and what that means is we're the premier provider of auto loans and leases for GM. We work very closely with our dealerships to build strong relationships with them so that they really encourage our products. So we help them to understand our value, our incentives, and our different offerings at any given time. So we have found that we have a high level of manufacturer loyalty. So what that means is when customers lease or buy a GM vehicle, they're much more likely to repurchase or release a GM vehicle if they finance through GM Financial. Right, so our headquarters is actually located in downtown Fort Worth. So it took me about 40 minutes to drive here today. So it's not too far of a commute. If you guys want to stay in Denton after graduation, it's definitely doable. But if not, Fort Worth's a great area to live in. Most of our positions in our corporate headquarters, that's going to be like the support positions such as finance, accounting, risk management, those type of roles. We also do have our Arlington operations campus, and located there, we actually have our customer service call center, as well as our IT operations center. And we also have a specialty center located in Las Colinas, where we have our commercial lending team and our marketing team that sits there. All right, so I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about our core values. What I found is PLP shares many similar values as GM Financial, and I think really kind of brushing up on those core competencies is very important for you as you develop into your careers. So I wanted to share a few examples of our values in action. So the first one being, a couple years ago, you guys may remember that Hurricane Harvey hit the coast of Texas pretty hard. And so with that came a lot of financial distress for our customers. And so one of the things that we were able to do so that we could still continue to put our customers first was we were able to delay those payments for those customers affected and not negatively impact any of their account history. Another example is our dedication to our communities. So our all full-time employees at GM Financial actually get 4 paid days off per year to go out and volunteer in the community. So sometimes we'll go out as a team and do stuff. Sometimes you'll go out just as an individual and volunteer for an organization that you're passionate about. But GM Financial does give us lots of opportunities to go out and volunteer. We have several partnerships. One being with March of Dimes and one also being with Salvation Army that we promote. We fundraise and we also participate in some of their events throughout the year. So I'm going to show you guys a quick video so that you can just see firsthand what it's like to work at GM Financial. So just bear with me as it may be a minute before I get it set up.
Best vehicles, the legacy endures. On every dealer lot, with every vehicle sold, every family on the road, and for everyone who expects more.
To me, being part of General Motors is an achievement. There are a million companies out there, right? But something like General Motors that has been around for so long, it means so much to so many people. It's something to be proud of.
I want to have a job that related to my hobby, which in this case is love of cars. To me, working at GM Financial is more than just a career. It's also a proud moment to be able to represent a name brand company that not just able to represent it in the workplace, also outside work as well.
Oh, I feel so proud. And, when people ask me where you work, I tell them I work at General Motors, and just the look on their face, it's a bit of envy. It's almost like, how did you get that job? How can I get that job? How did you get into that company?
And excellence is expected by history, by our dealers, by our customers, but most of all, by each other.
It's nice to actually look forward to coming in to seeing not my coworkers, but people that I actually consider my friends.
It is important to have diversity here at GM Financial because it welcomes all walks of life, makes everyone feel comfortable. Diversity is very important, I believe, because you can also learn from different people and different aspects.
We travel together, driven by talented and passionate people, building the premier captive finance company for the greatest auto manufacturer in the world. The grand momentum of history is at our back, and the challenge of opportunity ahead.
There's a lot of opportunity from the minute I started here 2 years ago to now. The company's grown so much. It's a very, very exciting time, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I've learned so much just because of the exposure that I've been given, but then also I've just become so comfortable with the people, my leadership, my peers.
But we won't stop there. We won't even slow down. A foundation of teamwork, excellence, and integrity set the stage for everything we do. Our ambitious dedication to create an engaging customer experience surpasses all. This is how we're building a company not only worthy of the name, but one that will shape the future of our industry. And it starts with our people.
Our culture is something I strongly believe in. We support our people, we have fun when we're at work.
What I like best about the culture is that I'm valued as a team member. That while I'm at work, it's professional, people are concentrated, people are focused, people have a strive to improve, to add value, but at the same time, my personal life is valued.
If I were to describe the GM Financial culture in 3 words, it would be teamwork, improvement, and family.
I love my job. I'm extremely spoiled. I literally do come to work skipping with a big smile every morning. Anybody has opportunity to grow and advance. There's no limit.
We are GM Financial.
Just kind of highlight the reason that I like working for GM Financial so much is we're really a large company. There's lots of opportunities for growth. We're about 10,000 strong, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. It feels much smaller. Our company, a lot of our leaders started before we were this big, so it's really easy to get to know anyone in the company from a coordinator all the way up to the executive team. So real quickly, I wanted to talk about careers, but I'm just going to go over this very high level. If you're interested in opportunities, feel free to come talk to me after or come see me at the business after hour events because I do go to those, or connect with me on LinkedIn. But we are currently actively recruiting for our internship right now. So if you're interested in that, definitely want to get your application in really soon. If you're interested in full-time opportunities, you can take a look at our careers page and kind of see what's open. If you're graduating in May, probably February, March is a good time to start applying to those positions. And then also, I do have some QR codes, so if you are interested, please take one of these, use your cell phone to create a profile so that we can track that you came to this event and reach out with next steps. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Marian to talk about our KEYS Financial Literacy Program.
So I am going, is this loud enough? Okay, because I tried to put it as low as possible because I know how I am without this. Maybe a little higher. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Who's it? My man. Right there. Okay. So we are going to spend the next little while together. I will tell you that this will be interactive, so I absolutely want you to participate as we go through this. So again, my name is, wait, before I do that, where's my IT guy? In the green? That's you? Who told us where to stand? There's nobody else behind you. No. You told me where to stand, right? I can't stand right here?
Yeah, it's just like the dead middle, there's some weird stuff going on, but it seems pretty good.
Okay. So if I stand here too long, you give me the signal. Thank you. All right. All right, so again, my name is Marian Hicks. I am with GM Financial. You heard the intro. Don't even worry about any of that. just an ordinary person here to talk to you about something that I absolutely love. So as we get into this presentation, all right, as we get into this presentation, I want to share something with you. Has anyone ever bought a car before? Okay, a few of you have bought a car before. Do you remember what that experience was like?
Awful.
It was stressful. What else did I hear?
Bullying.
There was bullying. Is that what you said? Okay, okay. What else?
Lots of paperwork.
Lots of paperwork. Anything else that you experienced? Too much information. So for those of you who have not yet purchased your first vehicle, what have you heard about that process? Have you heard anything about it other than what your peers just said? You hear anything about what a car buying experience is like? Okay, he said there might be some haggling involved. So I want to share with you really quickly my first car buying experience. Is that okay? Is that okay? Yes. Oh, great. I wasn't sure if you wanted to know or not. So when I first got my first vehicle, my first official new car smell, I'm the only one that ever sat in that seat to break it in. That's what I'm talking about, right? So I go and I'm so excited. So I go with my dad. And when we arrive at the dealership, I'm so excited because I absolutely know what I want in this vehicle. So I'm going up and down the aisles, I'm looking at everything, trying to find the perfect vehicle. Now, as I'm excited, this is my dad. Each vehicle, he's reading all the stuff, looking at it, walks over, next vehicle. I'm like, it doesn't take all of that. I know exactly what I want. I went in with two very specific requirements for what this vehicle needed to have. What do you think my two requirements were? Heated seats. She said color. So heated seats, because I am originally from Dayton, Ohio, would not have been a bad thing. I would tell you that when I bought my first car, those did not exist. Don't feel bad for me. Ola, right? Said color, right? I did have that, but that wasn't one of my top two. Gas mileage. That is so responsible of you to say that. You know what? Wasn't my top two. So here it is. Oh, yes, sir.
Automatic transmission.
What did you say?
Automatic transmission.
Yeah, that's real. He said automatic transmission. That is real. Wasn't my top two, though. Yes, sir. Now, if I just told the man heated seats wasn't right. Yes, sir.
Automatic windows.
You know that is a good thing. Wasn't my top two. I had a couple more people. Yes, ma'am. Leather seats. Okay, so I was a college kid, so that was a little bit outside of my thing, but I like it.
Cruise control.
Cruise control. That is a good item. Wasn't my top two. She's so sweet. Did you all hear what she said? Space for friends. That's so nice. Wasn't my top two, so here they are. You ready? The first one, now I'm going to date myself for real, Michelle. First one was that it had a CD player. Okay? The vehicle that I was coming out of only had a radio. When I went to school, that was 3 hours away from where I lived. I am a Purdue alum. So that was 3.5 hours away. I don't know if you know this, but Sirius XM didn't exist back then. So once you get a little bit out of the city limits, do you know what's available on AM and FM stations? Not a lot. So at some point, I was either going to listen to NPR or classical music. And I'll just tell you this little tip. There was something back in the day called a Walkman. Do y'all know what that is? Yes. Okay. Because I only had a radio, I had a Walkman. Know what I used to do? I had the Walkman up to my ear. I have it in the vehicle, right? Okay, so first thing was a CD player. The second thing was I just needed to look good in it. That was it. I just needed to look good in this ride. But my dad was concerned about the things you all said, mileage, safety, price. fuel economy. I didn't care. It's my first vehicle. 2 requirements, that's all I needed. By the way, it was bright red. It was bright red, all right? So very different perspectives in the car buying experience. And just as I started off with you all, you see there's very different perspectives on how you look at the overall purchasing decision. So what I want to talk to you about just for a little while is how do I even think about all of these things? So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is credit and why is it important anyway? The next thing we're going to talk about is a budget really necessary? I mean, really. Is it really necessary? Because these two are so critical to your overall lending discussions, we're going to spend quite a bit of time there. The other thing we're going to talk about, however, is I realize that as you get to the point when you are ready to purchase a vehicle, you can purchase a vehicle, you can lease a vehicle. You can buy a new vehicle, you can buy a certified pre-owned vehicle. There's a lot of different options for you out there, and we're going to talk about that. And then finally, I do want to address what happens at the dealership. As James stated when he read my bio, is that I have over 25 years of experience contacting dealerships. For those of you who might think you're math majors in here and trying to figure out how old I am, don't do that. Just know that I was a child prodigy and just keep it going from there. All right. So since credit is fundamental to any of the lending decisions that's going to be made, let's talk about it. So what is credit and why is it important? This is where the audience interaction is. Yes, sir?
It gives company an idea of how well you can pay back your debt.
Okay, he said it gives the company an idea of how well you can pay back the debt. Who else wants to talk about credit and why it's so important? You look like you wanted to just jump on in. You didn't want to. She says no. Okay. Okay. She said it's good because it lets you know how much you can put down as you're financing it. All of that is true because credit is really going to equal 2 words. What does that say? Buying power. That is what, or department stores, wow, look at that. It's going the wrong way. What the heck? So just so you know, anyone can work at GM Financial. Don't record that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so credit. 2 words. I think my comedian job is going to come into play. Credit, buying power is what credit is. It's important. It is what lenders are going to look at. Do you know there's a study that talks about lenders and how they look at your overall credit? And there's a percentage. How many lenders do you think are going to look at your credit before making a decision about you? What percentage? 100%. Anyone come any lower? It was like, no, 100%. So the study says actually about 90% of the top lenders are going to look at your credit before making that decision about you. And it's really important that we understand that. So since you all saw my next slides, one of the ways that you're going to establish credit, the first one is with a bank credit card. Anyone have a bank credit card? Okay, so when I say a bank credit card, I don't mean your debit card. I mean a legit credit card. Oh, y'all go ahead. All right. So that's like Chase, it's Wells Fargo, it's Capital One. All of those that are banks that really don't require you to have a checking account. They're just going to extend that credit card to you. Okay. You know what? I'll tell you a little. No, I won't. The next one, a department card. What kind of department store card am I talking about? Who said Target? You don't have to be shy about it. Target in the house. What else? Macy's. J.C. Penney. Yeah, J.C. Penney. I was like, are they still around? I can't remember now. Who else? Nordstrom, Best Buy. That's why I won't get one from Best Buy, because I get in trouble with that. What else? What is it? Nebraska Furniture Mart. Forever 21. All of those are bank or department stores that you can get credit to help you establish your overall credit. There's one more that I want to talk to you about that can help you to establish credit. Anyone familiar with a secured card? Yeah. So I have up there, I have secured card, but then I have two words after that. What are the two words I have after it? If necessary. This is what a secured card does. The secured card says, I am going to match whatever your credit limit is with how much money you deposit into the account. So if you deposit $500 into the account, your credit limit is what? $500. Now, if that's necessary to help you to start building credit, then that might be something that you need to look at. Just make sure you do your research. Now, as you are establishing credit, there are 3 major credit reporting agencies that are going to start to compile information on you. Does anyone know, is credit free? Can I borrow money for free? You all don't sound convinced. Are you sure? Can I borrow money for free? I can probably borrow from my friends. Somebody can give me $5. Oh, I appreciate you. Right? Were you going to charge me interest? He might. Okay. So what credit does is credit says, I am going to allow you to buy something without paying the money first, but I'm doing it because I am trusting that you are going to pay it back over time with interest and on time. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to let you go get that Apple iPhone without putting any of your own money down, but I am expecting you to pay it back with interest over time. Okay? So as I'm doing that, one of the things I need to understand is that credit cost. They're going to charge me interest in most situations to borrow that money. So interest is the direct cost of using credit. The other thing I want you to consider is know how much it's going to cost you. Has anyone ever thought about that? That over the long haul, I should know how much this is going to cost me. I go in saying I need, I'll say $1,000. But by the time I pay it back, maybe I've paid back $1,500. So that $1,000 really cost me another $500 to get it. You understand that? So you really need to understand the big picture of, over the term of this, how much money am I actually paying back? The next piece of this, what does that say? What did it say?
Make them on time.
And she said, and make them on time. So first of all, make sure that you can afford the payment. And when I say make sure that you can afford the payment, I mean make sure that you can pay it back every month. I don't mean make sure you can pay it back every other month. It is make sure you can not only afford the payment, but that you can pay it back on time. Because as I said, all of this, thank you, I was having a click in here. All of this starts to be compiled by these 3 major credit agencies. Have you all heard of these before? Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. What do you all know about them? Well, that's true. What else do we know about them? They collect all of your information. They're the ones that give you the credit score. What else do we know about these 3? Anything else? Are they normally equal? Do you know that? They're normally not. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. One of the things as we talk about this with your credit history, what are some things that are on your credit report? Just yell them out to me. What'd you say? I got my credit limit on there. What is it? If I paid on time. Age of the account. Credit usage. Debt ratio. So that was something they would have to calculate, but yes, they can figure that out.
Number of credit lines.
Number of credit lines. Open account. She took your answer, didn't she?
Student loans.
Student loans. It's a loan, right? It's an open account. Okay, all right. So let's talk about this. Your name is on there. If you get married and take on your spouse's name, then that is going to be on there. Your employment record. Your employment's on there. Credit inquiries. What do I mean by credit inquiries? Yes, sir.
The number of times you apply for accounts, loans, and all of that.
Okay. He said the number of times you apply for accounts, loans. So anytime you give someone permission to look at your credit, it is going to hit your credit report. It's going to show up as an inquiry on your credit report. And then things that are public record will also be on there. Okay? So if we understand, okay, all of that stuff is on there, but not really a big deal. Do we care? Should we care? Okay. Should we care? Yes, we should absolutely care. And the reason why is I want to show you one of the standard ways that they are going to calculate your score. The first thing I want you to see is 30% stands for what? The amount owed. So they are going to base 30% of your score based on how much you owe. So say I got a credit card for $5,000. And I took the limit all the way to $5,000. What do you think the bank is thinking about when they see that? He said, uh-oh. He said, you're irresponsible. What they're looking at is are you using it in such a way that it's almost like an extension of your income? Like I'm using that to live off of as well. So you have to consider with the amounts owed, most experts will say that you really should only use 30% of your balance. Only 30%. There are other studies I've seen that go up to 50%. So let's just say if we went with 50%, I had a $5,000 balance. How much should I go up to? $2,500, because it's going to impact this score. The other thing is 35% with payment history. Why do they care about payment history? They get their money someday. Maybe. Why do I care about payment history? They want to know if you're paid on time. I want to know that if I let you borrow money, that you paid it back. So that's what that is looking like. It is looking at how often and frequently you pay on time. It doesn't just calculate how many times you pay on time, it also puts in there how many times you what? Were late. And they keep a running total. Did you all know that? It's on there. So every time, if you look at your credit report, and if you had some times when you were late, you're going to see that on there. That's 35% of your overall score. So it's a big deal. The other thing is with regard to 15% length of credit. That just simply means, am I new at establishing credit, or have I been doing this for a while? 10% is based on your credit mix, so whether I have revolving loans or installment loans. Someone tell me what a revolving loan is. Or give me an example of one. Credit cards.
It's whenever you're given a line of credit, and whenever you pay that back, it's immediately available for your use.
Yeah, absolutely. So credit cards, revolving lines of credit, that just simply means that you have a balance available to you. You spend it, when you pay it back, the balance becomes available again. For an installment loan, I'll just use a vehicle. When I purchase a vehicle over 72 months, when I make that final payment, that's it. It's all done, okay? So with regard to the credit scores and the credit report, these two words come up a lot. Prime or subprime. Have you all heard those before? No?
No, I just had a question about payment history.
Yes.
So I learned this summer that if you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know the rules. Intro, please.
No, it's okay. It's been a very engaging type of presentation today. Hi, I'm Danny. I'm double majoring in integrative studies and nonprofit, and I'm a senior. So I learned this summer that your payment history, if you cancel like your first credit card, it takes away your entire payment history up until that second credit card. Is that true, and that it can like really detriment your score in the long run?
Well, when you have a closed account, so yes, it can start to impact how they're looking at your overall open lines of credit. So I've seen a lot of experts that say if you have a card that you paid on and it had really good history for you, you might want to keep it. Don't use it, but you might want to keep it to help with that. So I would just look at that and weigh it out with the other things as far as the length of service, length in your credit. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I would say, please feel free to stop me. Good? Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, excuse me. Intro, please.
I'm an HR major and I'm a senior. So I just have a question about departments for credit cards.
Yes.
If you're declined from getting a credit card, does that impact your credit score if you have like no credit at all?
So remember when I went back to this, so it's looking at things you actually have. The one area that is going to show up is it's going to show up on your inquiries. And then you, in turn, so say you apply for one or anyone apply for one and it declined. They are then required by law to send you what's called an adverse action letter of saying we know you applied, but these are the reasons why we did not extend that credit to you.
So does it like lower it, or if I started building credit, or does it have no effect?
Because if they're declining it, they're basing it on what's already in your file. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at what's already there. Yeah. So what's in your file, as we talk about it, is going to show whether I, as the lender, am willing to take a risk on you. Others? Good? All right. Great questions. Keep them coming until Michelle makes me stop. All right, so the first one, prime, subprime. Those credit scores we talked about, 680 or higher is considered prime credit. Does anyone understand what happens if you have prime credit? Yes, sir.
Get better interest rates and/or incentives to use their credit.
Okay, better interest rates or incentives to use their credit. Oh, you know what? Intro, please.
Oh, yes. Oliver Davidson, business analytics major.
Okay, thank you. Okay. It's Danny, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm Danny. I was going to say that you also get to qualify for better credit cards that have like more rewards and cashback systems.
There are definitely incentives with having prime credit. The other thing, as they talked about with regard to interest rates, with regard to interest rates on prime credit, typically those are going to be in the low single digits. So just how you understand, if we're looking at interest rates, normally if you have prime credit, it's going to be lower single digits, okay? If I go into what's considered near prime, okay, that's 620 to 679. From there, for interest rates, now I'm going to go into the higher single digits, and I might even flip over into some double digits for that interest rate. This final one, under 620. That is what the industry typically recognizes as subprime. This is where you're going to have your highest interest rates. So you're going to have interest rates that's probably going to start in the mid-teens and can go up. And it can go up basically based on what the state laws are as far as how far they can take it. Because subprime, as you see here, I say subprime has several conditions. So this is what this looks like. If I am going to extend someone credit that has under 620, there might be some things that I ask for. I might ask you to prove that you make the money that you say you make. And in order to do that, what am I going to ask you for? I'm going to ask you for a pay stub. I might also want to know that you live where you say you live. So I might ask you for a utility bill or something that shows you actually live there. I might ask you for personal references. Because at this point, with this being a little bit more of the riskier credit, there's going to be some things that I might require before I extend the credit. Now, I will tell you one of the cool things with regard to GM Financial is that there are times that we will run a program that could allow a consumer to potentially, that was in this category, to potentially get a better interest rate based on the program that we're running. So every now and then you will see those things. But just understand when people are talking about prime, subprime, you need to know how that relates to your credit report. Does everyone know that you can get a copy of your credit report every year? You absolutely can. So let me show you what the real difference is between subprime and prime. I have a consumer. They're going to buy the exact same car. I always have to do this. And it's not because I don't know what I was going to say either. This is my, I have to say this for legal purposes. While we are giving credit advice, we are not promising anything when you consider the lowest rates available. All right, now, one of the things that you have to consider when you are two customers buying the exact same car, the only difference is going to be their credit. On this side, I have a consumer that has pretty good credit. So their payment for a 72-month loan is going to be about $450. Now, I'm going to show you the difference with someone that has not so great credit. What's the dollar difference with that? $210 a month difference just based on whether I'm prime or not as great credit. So let me ask you this, $210. What can I do with $210 a month? Groceries. Another. She said another car. What else? Gas. Anything else? Invested. Insurance. No, I'm the only one going shopping. Nobody else. Right? So $210. That is a big difference when I'm looking at that. So when I talked about before that credit can be seen as buying power, it potentially has saving power. Because now take that $210, multiply it times 72 months, about 15 grand. So now, I'm going to ask the question again. What can you do with $15,000? So, who said another car? I want to talk to you after the talk. What else? What can I do? What would you do with $15,000? Yes, ma'am. Tuition. Okay. What did you say? Pay off student loans. She said pay off those student loans. On vacation. She's going on. She's going on vacation. Thank you. I appreciate that. So $15,000. So you start to see what a difference is. When I started off with $210, you all were like, okay, it's $210. But then when I said, over the time, it's $15,000. It is a big deal. So one of the things that you want to do as you are establishing and building credit, we want to make sure, first of all, that the credit report is accurate. Make sure your credit report is accurate. I already shared with you that you can get your credit report free once a year, freeannualcreditreport.com, and you can look at it to make sure there are no errors. A lot of times you might find errors. And if you find errors, you want to make sure that you get those corrected. Why is it important to get those errors corrected? I like you. She says saving power. Why else? What is it going to impact? My credit score. So I want to make sure that if there's something on there that is impacting that credit score, I want to get it corrected. Manage your debt. So this is what I'm going to say about that. Make paying off debt a priority. Make paying off debt a priority. Life looks different when you don't have debt hanging over your head. Make it a priority. Pay your bills. Where's Danny? Pay your bills?
On time.
On time. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Jens, man, and I'm a senior in marketing with a concentration in professional selling. I got a
Oh, wait, okay. That was like a long title. Tell me your name again.
Jens.
Jens?
Jens.
Okay. And what are you majoring in? I got to get the whole thing.
Marketing with a concentration in professional selling.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
So I got a question regarding your previous slide. It was
Where you want me to go?
payback loans. What you were saying about paying back loans. So what is your
I know, I'm going to
payer,
one way.
the one before that?
The accuracy.
What is you said
It's
about-
not clicking for me. Can you just click it for me? But go ahead and ask me your question.
Yeah, so what's your, if like, I have student loans, a lot of people have student loans, so what's your take on focusing on pay, if we have student loans sitting at a very small percentage, like an interest rate, a very small interest rate, what do you think about rather than like focusing on paying that back versus investing your money in stuff like funds with a higher payback rate than than the actual interest rate of the loan? You see what I'm saying? Versus allocating your money in a fund with a higher money back, or actually focusing all your extra money on paying back your loans there? Or would you never invest money that you technically don't have? Because you're sitting on a loan, but everybody has loans, so the people investing in their funds, they should be putting that into their loans.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. So you're asking basically what should be the priority. Should I pay off a student loan that's maybe at 6% versus investing in something where I'm getting maybe 8%?
So like, let's say 1% versus 8%.
1% versus 8%.
Yes.
Okay? That is going, I'm going to say that's going to depend. First of all, it's going to depend on how many loans you have out there. So you're giving me one versus this. So if I have student loan and I have credit cards and I have all this other stuff, then investing here might not look as attractive as doing that. So I have to look at all of the variables and saying, okay, is there a reason that right now I need to just kind of save up some cash, right? So if there's a reason that you're like, you know what, I need to do this and I'm willing to offset that, then that's something that you need to look at, but to do it wisely. And to make sure that investing is not going to cause you to lapse on making the monthly payments for the other deal. Because you're still going to make the monthly payments, right? That's just going to be required. The difference is, do I make the monthly payments plus some, so I don't have to pay back as much interest? Or do I just pay the minimum and pay back all the interest they want me to? So remember I talked about you got to understand how much interest you're paying over the life of it? You might want to look at that because it might not be worth it in the end. That help? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Sunny, and I'm a nonprofit leadership studies major. And
Are you a senior? Okay, hey.
And I was wondering if when they run your credit check and they do the report, do they take into consideration international loans?
Sit over there. All right, so that's a good question. And this is what I will say in general. If I am looking at credit, so say they're going to run it through Equifax. Equifax can only measure it based on what's on their report. So if they have an international loan that happens to show up on their report, they're going to look at that. So I don't know how international loans might show up on ours. My thought is it probably doesn't, but I don't know that for sure. Tell me your name again. Sunny. I need to get back with Sunny. Okay. Somebody remember I need to get back with Sunny. That is a great question, and I want to get you an answer for that, a for sure answer. Others? Okay, I'm going to get in trouble here. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Hi. Can I say it depends? Okay, so real quick, because you all are asking like fabulous questions, so I'm going to be like running through the stuff. Okay, so if it is a married couple, and you're both going to be on the loan? Okay, so if you're both going to be on the loan, it really depends on the lending institution and how they're going to look at it. Sometimes they'll say, I'm going to look at both of yours and average it out and make a decision from there. Other times, depending on the lending institution, they might want to look at you separately and make a decision. So it really depends on the lending institution and how they do it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get in trouble. Manage your debt. Pay your bills on time. Bill credit responsibly. Every time you go into Best Buy and they say you can get 20% off today if you apply for a credit card, does not mean you have to do it. You don't have to do it. All right. So is a budget necessary? It's their fault. Is a budget necessary? Yes. Yes, it is absolutely necessary. I understand that on Friday, there is a budgeting workshop, kind of a lunch and learn that you might want to check out. But I will tell you this real quick. This is just not working for me. I don't know why. I think, James, you set me up. Okay, real quick. One of the things that I want you to think about when it comes to budgets, and I'm just going to use the example of when you're about to buy a vehicle, because guess who I work for? Okay, so when you're about to buy a vehicle, when you go in, are you just concerned with the payment, with the monthly payment? What else am I concerned about? Warranty, gas, insurance, maintenance. So I am not just going to go in and say, I can afford up to $400. I have to consider maintenance. If I need tires, I need to consider if it's fuel, if I get a truck versus a car that might be more in fuel, insurance. I have to look at all of this to determine, remember, if I can afford it. I got to look at everything. So a simple budget. Like I said, there's a budgeting workshop, so if you haven't signed up, go sign up. Take home pay. That is not the gross amount. That's after Uncle Sam and everybody has got their cut first. Take home pay minus every single thing you have to pay out each month. That's what your budget is going to be. You know, there's studies that say that 80% of folks do have a budget, but 63% don't have what? A savings account. And do you know how critical a savings account is? If I'm driving down the road and I get a flat tire, I can change it, and then I can be on my way. A savings account is like that. I might be inconvenienced for a moment, but I have something that's going to help me get out of the situation that I'm in. If I don't have a savings account, That's not going to help me. There's a study that says over 50% of Americans would be in a financial crisis if they had a $500 car repair bill or an emergency visit. And I think the number is actually like 63%, would be in trouble over $500. That's why that savings account is so important. All right. I'm trying. Oh, thank you, James. So, I ran through that pretty quickly. Like I said, I know you all have a budgeting workshop that's coming up. Real quick, I just want to talk to you about leasing versus buying. Anyone ever leased a vehicle? Okay, I got some folks in the back. No one else has? Okay, tell me this. What have you heard about leasing?
You get taken care of.
You get taken care of? Okay. What else? I've never heard anyone say that. That's awesome, because I do like leasing. Yes, ma'am. Okay, did they tell you why not?
I don't fully understand leasing, to be honest with you. They just said it's better to buy stuff rather than to not own it.
Okay, so that is how I grew up. My dad was like, you buy it and you drive it till the wheels go, fall off. But yes, I do understand that. Yes, ma'am.
Similar to renting like a house where what you're paying doesn't go towards a large amount to pay it off, it just pays it to keep it for that moment.
Okay, yeah.
If you try to get out of it early, you will pay more, and in the long run, it could be like double-digit thousands type of issue, and then you are essentially paying for the depreciation while you have to.
Yes. Got one more. Yes, sir.
There's a limit on the amount of miles you can put on during that time that you're leasing it until you start to get charged extra.
Absolutely, there is indeed. Somebody give me their favorite expensive restaurant. Which place? Olive Garden. Okay. Texas Grill House, yes, sir. Fogo de Chao. Okay. Fogo de Chao. We're going to use that. We go to Fogo de Chao. And we are going to order everything they got because I'm hungry. So when it comes, the final bill is $200. But you know what? As I was eating, I realized I wasn't as hungry as I thought it would be. So I only ate like 50% of the meal. So for me, I was like, I only ate like half of it. What are they going to tell me at Fogo de Chao? You're still paying $200, right? So here's how leasing works. Leasing says, okay, I'm only going to charge you for what you used. So in this case, for leasing, they would say, I'm only going to charge you based on the 100, the half that you used, and I'm not going to charge you for the other piece. So it's only looking at the part of the car that you're going to use. So if I have the car for 3 years, they're going to assign a value to that based on the value of the vehicle, and they're going to say, I'm just going to require you to pay on that part. Okay? That's how leasing works. There are some things with leasing. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to click buy it. Yeah, I'm clicking buy it. That's why I don't want to do that. I'm clicking. All of the things that you all have said for ownership, for leasing, during that time you're just paying for the vehicle that you use. Down payment, you'll probably do a little bit less of a down payment with leasing. Mileage limits, most leases give you a standard 15,000 miles a year. You can buy additional miles, but realize that if you don't buy additional miles, you will have to pay for that on the back end of it. Maintenance, wear and tear. Most of the times for leases under warranty, so you don't have to worry about that, but if you buy it, you can modify it however you want to, but all of that is going to be on you for anything that's outside of warranty. Okay? I am pointing it that way. That was mine. And leasing amounts are typically lower monthly. See, I am following instructions. Keep going. Come back one more. Did you all see the difference in that? 48 months for the example that we did, I think about $2,600 down. Leasing $292 if I wanted to buy it $553. So it just kind of shows you a little bit about how big a difference leasing can be versus buying. Okay, just put it on the other slide and I'm just gonna talk. Okay, all right, so for those of you who have been into a dealership, there's a few things that happen when you go into the dealership. First of all, when you go in, the sales consultant is gonna walk up to you. They're gonna ask you your name. Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee, how are you? What brings you in today? Here to buy a car. At that point, I'm going to start asking Kaylee a bunch of questions. And when you go in, you're like, why are they asking me all these questions? The reason why is because they're trying to make sure they put you in the right car. So when they start asking you, are you looking for a sedan? Are you looking for an SUV? Do you drive a lot? Is it just for here? Is it going to be your family? They're going to start asking you questions because even though you're coming in knowing potentially like what vehicle you want, they still want to interview you and take you through that process to make sure they match you with the right vehicle. If you have a vehicle that you're going to trade in, they're also going to look that over and offer you a trade-in amount. While you're there, you're also going to do a test drive. So whatever vehicle that you choose, you're going to put it on the road and make sure that you like it. As you're driving, what do you think they're going to start asking you? Do you like it? How do you like the ride? Does it fit what you're looking for? Again, to make sure they match you up with the right thing. The next part is, and this is the part that people think is really scary, and I think, did you mention haggle to me earlier? He's like, yeah, bring it on. When you go with, they call it the finance manager, to really talk about the details of the loan. They are going to, first of all, they have access to know, like, okay, is there any programs we have out there? Are there any rebates that we can apply to this to bring the amount down? So when you're sitting there, that's the process they'll take you through. You'll agree on a number, you'll sign the paperwork, beep, beep, you get to drive off with your vehicle, okay? So when I look at it, take me to my final slide, please. I'll tell you, keep going. Yeah, uh-huh. You just told me I had 7 minutes, of course. Keep going. Keep going. Stop right there for a minute. Remember real quickly that I told you need to know how much the vehicle costs or the loan over the cost of the loan. This shows you right there, the finance charge. It's going to be $2,334. The amount financed, $24,210. Total amount of payments, once you add those two together, $26,544. But oh, you put $2,600 down, so really the total amount that you have paid into this vehicle, or you will, is $29,000. By law, lenders have to give you that information, okay? Keep going for me. Yep. So this is why credit is important. 2 words, it gives you what? Buying power. If you're able to do a budget, budget says if I can manage my money, it is potentially going to impact how I manage my credit. When I go into leasing versus buying, I'm talking about what fits me best. Do I want a lower payment? Can I deal with the miles? Can I deal with not putting any modifications on my vehicle? It's really what fits you at that time. And then finally, the dealership experience. Just know that when you go into the dealership, go in with the information that you need and let them help you work through it. With that, I'm done.
So these are for you and comments for you. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we get one more big round of applause?